Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting.
Ready to jump into the fire hose.
We are doing a deep dive into today's most crucial chatter, really, across the whole tech and political ecosystem.
It's a lot.
It is. We've got massive orbital scale-ups, a shocking new offensive in the AI model wars, and some genuinely fascinating commentary on how wealth is defined.
And who gets to govern?
And who gets to govern. We took 11 high-impact posts, and, we've distilled them down to the insights you absolutely need.
Today's feed is all about acceleration. I mean, the pace of change is clearly just ramping up in every single sector we monitor.
Right.
We're going to slow down the reading speed, but we are not slowing down the intellectual tempo.
Let's start with the one place that defines acceleration.
Orbit.
Orbit.
Kicking us off with a piece of news that honestly used to be huge headline material. Now it's just routine logistics. Straight from the source, at SpaceX posted.
Yeah.
Deployment of IOI and Starlink satellites confirmed.
That's the Group 686 mission, a highly successful deployment of 29 Starlink V2 mini satellites. When you read that, the numbers barely even register anymore.
Exactly. But the implications of the volume, that's what's truly astonishing.
Okay. So we need to put those numbers back into perspective then, because the sheer scale is starting to, it's starting to bend reality. What are we looking at for 2025?
So this specific launch, it marks the 111th Starlink mission.
The 111th?
Just this year. Think about that. 111 launches in 12 months. The year-to-date count for deployed satellites is now 2,871.
Wow. And how does that compare to, say, last year?
The comparison is startling. I mean, that count is 909 more satellites than they managed in all of 2024.
The entire year.
The entire year. They are just dramatically accelerating their constellation density. This isn't just launching rockets anymore, It's about shifting the global balance of connectivity.
It's a utility.
It is. They are building a genuine utility layer in space, which has huge geopolitical, huge economic ramifications. When 8 million global subscribers rely on your network, you have to move faster than anyone.
And that speed, that density, it's all enabled by the one thing that I think everyone, myself included, now just takes for granted: reusability. Did they pull off the landing again?
They did. Flawlessly. The reusable first-stage booster landed precisely on the drone chip. Just read the instructions.
And that makes what?
That marks the 541st overall booster recovery for the company.
541 successful recoveries. It doesn't sound like R&D anymore. It sounds like a manufacturing line that just happens to, cross the atmosphere.
Exactly. When reusability becomes this routine, the focus shifts entirely from proving the tech to optimizing the logistics.
Right.
And that frees up monumental resources for things like Starship, the Mars timetable, all because Earth orbit is now just an operational trucking route.
So the problem is solved.
The core challenge of access to space has been solved. Now it's just a challenge of scale, throughput, and cost management.
That is a phenomenal pivot. Okay, so let's transition from the logistics of Earth orbit to the absolute bleeding edge of silicon performance, because the AI model wars just ratcheted up about 10 notches.
Yeah, big one.
The AI world is currently split. You've got the giant launching these massive models, and then you have the open source groups trying to eat their lunch.
Yep.
We're starting with a major entry from a very, very quiet titan at Hugging Papers report.
Here we go.
Apple just released Starflow on Hugging Face, a brand new model from the tech giant, opening doors to unexplored possibilities in AI development.
Starflow is a bit of a sleeper model because Apple, in classic Apple fashion, is just ignoring the current dominant trend.
Which is diffusion.
Right. Starflow is a 3 billion parameter, get this,
Yeah.
autoregressive flow model for text-to-image generation.
Wait, flow model? We've been living in the age of diffusion for years. Stable diffusion, mid-journey, DL. Why would Apple ignore that massive trend and, revive a different approach?
Well, it's a huge strategic risk, but the core advantage is theoretical rigor and efficiency. Diffusion models are great, but they're noisy, they're multi-step processes.
Okay.
Flow models, which are based on something called normalizing flows, are mathematically just different. They allow for what's called exact likelihood training. Meaning the model can learn the probability distribution of the data perfectly.
And what's the practical benefit of that for someone, using it?
Speed. The big one is speed. They could potentially enable much faster single-step sampling compared to that iterative process diffusion needs.
I see.
So if Apple can scale this flow-based architecture, it could lead to quicker, high-res media creation with, fewer computational demands. This is Apple putting a counter bet on the table.
It's a fascinating counterpunch for sure, but the real fireworks this week are coming from the East. Let's talk about DeepSeek. At Victor Mustar started the hype train rolling with this.
Oh, yeah.
DeepSeek V3.2 is out. It seems extremely strong.
That post sparked, I think, immediate panic in Silicon Valley. DeepSeek V3.2 is a colossal 685 billion parameter open source model.
From China.
It develops China, yeah. And the claim, which is being scrutinized very heavily, is that it's achieving parity with the best closed models, specifically GPT-5 level performance.
Okay, I have to push back on that because GPT-5 level is an enormous, bold claim. Are they just basing this on, standard English language benchmarks? Because those can be gamed.
And that's the critical difference here.
Yeah.
They are specifically hanging their hat on competitive reasoning benchmarks.
So not just reading comprehension.
No. We're talking about tests designed to measure true competitive intelligence, problem solving, like the International Mathematical Olympiad, International Olympiad in Informatics, and AIM.
Those are extremely difficult. So what are the actual scores they're claiming?
The V3.2 special variant is where the breakthroughs are. They're claiming AIM 2025 scores of 99.0%.
99%.
Scores that often match or even exceed proprietary leaders.
Yeah.
We're talking Google's Gemini 3.0 Pro
Yeah.
and the highest tier of GPT-5. This isn't about being a powerful chatbot. It's about demonstrating elite gold medal reasoning.
So how are they pulling this off? How are they achieving this staggering performance and keeping it open source and, crucially, cheap? What's the secret sauce?
They credit the efficiency to something they developed called DeepSeek Sparse Attention, or DSA.
Okay.
Think of, traditional attention in AI as a floodlight. It lights up the whole context window, which is computationally expensive.
Well, very expensive.
DSA acts more like a focused spotlight. It only illuminates the most crucial tokens in the sequence.
A focused spotlight. I like that.
Precisely. And this allows for an incredible 128K context efficiency. DeepSeek claims this translates to 3x faster processing speed and half the cost of rivals.
Half the cost.
And on top of that, it's optimized for agentic tool use. It can efficiently use hundreds of external programs. It's a massive efficiency leap.
And this cost efficiency thing, this brings us to the controversy, right? And the competition angle, which was summarized perfectly by @YassineMTB, a former ex-AI engineer who posted sarcastically,
Yeah.
"Merry Christmas, Americans enjoy working over the holidays."
You could just feel the collective groan from Palo Alto and Mountain View.
Yeah,
This post just perfectly captures that sudden high-pressure rivalry.
it does.
DeepSeek's benchmarks, claiming performance parity at a fraction of the cost, they dropped right as U.S. teams were getting ready to, wind down for the year.
And the economic implications of that post are huge, especially on the hardware side.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The replies all emphasize that DeepSeek is up to 35x cheaper than competitors, and, this is critical, it's powered by non-NVIDIA Huawei chips.
Wow.
So this isn't just an efficiency challenge, it's a strategic national challenge. Proving high-performance AI is possible outside the Western hardware ecosystem.
Okay, but we have to mention the footnote here, the skepticism. Some critics, I've seen them responding to Post 6, they've alleged that DeepSeek might be getting these gains by, unauthorized distillation, copying output from Western AI leaders.
And that's the nature of high-stakes open-source competition. Whenever a model gets this good, this fast, people question the data, they question the method.
Right.
But, regardless of the means, the outcome for the market is the same. Highly efficient open-source models are directly challenging closed U.S. models on cost and raw reasoning performance at the same time. And that pressure just accelerates everyone.
That high-stakes race is forcing tools to become radically simpler. Let's switch to the democratization side of things.
Right.
How is this power getting into the hands of non-coders? This next one from @ehuanglu, it truly blew my mind.
This one is wild.
Oh my. It shouldn't be possible. Gemini 3 can generate 3D interactive scenes with 3.js, and you can literally move particles with your hands, no coding skills needed at all, it's all free.
This is Google's Gemini 3, which just came out last month, and it's effectively turning complex web development into a no-code prompt engineering task.
So it generates runnable code.
Complete runnable 3.js code, which is a standard for 3D on the web, and it does it in real time.
So you could literally type something like, "I want a swarm of silver butterflies that flies into a spiral when I make a fist," and it just writes the code for you.
Exactly. You put that detailed prompt into Google AI Studio, it outputs the functional HTML and JavaScript, you save it, and boom.
And the hand gesture part?
When you open the file, the system uses your webcam to detect those gestures, clapping, waving, making a fist, and it controls the 3D particles. It completely democratizes advanced interactive 3D web dev.
Making basic 3D coding instantly obsolete.
Instantly.
That is truly mind-bending. But, democratizing code doesn't mean the networking plumbing underneath gets any simpler.
No, it does not.
Speaking of making complex things simple, let's look at why a major tech figure is raving about a VPN utility. At DHH, David Heinemeier Hansen posted this. I never thought a VPN could get me excited, but I love how easy Tailscale makes switching between nicknamed tailnets and giving me access to all these magic DNS endpoints. Such a great product.
DHH, he's the creator of Ruby on Rails, a huge voice in enterprise architecture. So his praise for Tailscale is a massive signal about the value of making complex, secure networking feel intuitive.
Right.
Tailscale uses the security of WireGuard, but wraps it in this layer of just absolute simplicity.
And we're talking about VPNs, which usually involve fiddling with certificates, complex IP addresses. How does Tailscale make it exciting?
It's this concept of tailnets. They're essentially just nickname networks. Your personal home network, your private cloud, your work environment.
Okay.
So instead of dealing with frustrating IP configs every time you switch contexts, Tailscale lets you switch between these named tailnets with simple command line commands.
So it treats secure, encrypted networks like they're just Wi-Fi networks on your phone.
That's the perfect analogy. It provides secure, zero-config connectivity that just works. It links all your devices and services without the IT headache. And that's why it's gaining so much traction. It solves the friction problem in security.
Okay, time to pivot to the shifting sands of global economics and governance. Our definition of success, and, who gets to lead, is changing fast. First up, an essential piece of economic satire from @SemaScofflin.
A great one.
Linked to a Mr. Incredible meme about a shrinking $1 dollars.
So this meme is just perfectly satirizing the deeply changed perception of wealth in 2025.
Right.
It was triggered by that recent UBS report,
Right.
which found that 24 million U.S. adults, it's roughly 1 in 10, now have a net worth over $1 million.
Which is a colossal number. For a long time, being a millionaire was, synonymous with financial independence. The meme suggests that prestige has just evaporated.
That is the core satire. Inflation, rapid asset appreciation, they've effectively eroded the meaningfulness of that milestone. The number is high, but the felt prosperity is much lower.
What's the key nuance we need to remember when we see that figure?
Well, the statistic measures net worth total assets minus debts. It's not liquid cash.
Right.
And the UBS data shows 80% of those 24 million millionaires are over 60. And for many of them, the bulk of that wealth is tied up in highly appreciated illiquid assets.
Mostly their house.
Mostly their primary home, yeah. So you might be a millionaire on paper, but if you live in a high cost of living area and can't easily access that capital, you don't feel rich.
Mm-hmm.
The satire hits that nerve perfectly.
And a shift in the definition of wealth leads us right to a debate over the definition of competence in government. David Sachs, @DavidSachs, addresses this head-on.
Mm-hmm.
This may be the point. Portray anyone with real-world experience as too conflicted to serve in government. So only professional bureaucrats, activists, NGO types with the same views as NYT reporters are eligible.
This is a powerful politically charged observation. It speaks to a critical debate. Who is qualified to run the economy? Sachs is arguing that there's a strategic mechanism at play to disqualify experienced private sector outsiders.
Like tech founders or investors.
Exactly. Disqualify them from government service.
And what's the mechanism they're using to disqualify them?
By constantly highlighting potential conflicts of interest. The argument goes that real-world business experience naturally creates conflicts in the public sector, making those people too conflicted to serve.
And the result, he argues.
The result is a self-selecting pool of people who lack that operational experience.
Is there any data to back up his claim about who is serving?
He cites a 2022 report that found 62% of a previous administration's top economic appointees had virtually no private sector experience.
Oh, wow.
The Post argues that while real-world experience might breed conflicts of interest, the alternative, career bureaucracy, often breeds ideological groupthink and a lack of competence in managing real-world economic pressures, like profit and loss.
So it's a debate about prioritizing ideological alignment over operational expertise.
And key government roles, yeah. It's an insightful framework for understanding political staffing, regardless of where you stand ideologically.
It forces you to weigh the costs of conflict versus the costs of inexperience.
Exactly. And the intensity of that conversation just underscores how quickly policy needs to adapt to a world where AI reasoning power and global tech competition are changing everything else.
What an intense roundup of the day's chatter. I mean, we covered 500 plus routine rocket landings, zero config 3D creation with your hands, a huge challenge to US AI dominance,
From DeepSeek, yeah.
and core philosophical questions about who gets to define our economy. So, what does this all mean for the person trying to keep up?
It means the technological landscape is becoming defined by intense global competition. It's forcing maximum efficiency, maximum performance, even if that means, working through the holidays. The efficiency gains we saw with DeepSeek are a complete game changer.
And that leads to the final provocative thought for you to explore on your own time.
So if the cost of world-class elite AI reasoning, the ability to pass competitive math exams, if that drops by a claimed 35x in just 1 year, what does that radical acceleration mean for the rate of economic change in 2026? What field, right now considered highly skilled, becomes instantly obsolete when elite reasoning is that cheap and accessible to everyone?
Something to mull over. Thank you for diving deep with us. We'll see you tomorrow for the next deep dive.